say hi, ask a question, and let's work on your game, right? Let's put it this way. Rain and Terry.
In 1,000 feet, use the right 2 lanes to keep right.
Hey friends, it's Tuesday, August 10, 2021, and it's time to prepare to go there. Welcome back to the most overlooked and underrated coaching conversation on the internet. And it's my opinion, but I'm convinced that the future deserves our focus. It's not going to pioneer itself. So let's show up. Let's put in the work so we can show up ready. My name is Peter, and it has been a real blast, really a joy, a privilege to go on this extended guided coaching journey with you. Really just an invitation to friends and leaders alike who want to better focus on the future so that way they can lead others into a better future as well. The only way we do that is when we figure out how to lead ourselves first. And so that really is the big idea behind this conversation. And I wanted you to be a part of it as well. You know, I've realized from observation and my own experience that most people don't know how to lead others into a better future simply because they don't know how to lead themselves there first. So I think this is one of the fault lines in the leadership space right now. We're putting a lot of emphasis on how to dominate, how to automate, how to delegate. But when do we as people, as just everyday normal folk, when do we actually work on ourselves? When do we learn how to lead ourselves? We're in a culture that is throwing out the hashtag treat yourself, and that's great, but when do we train yourself or lead yourself? And I think that that is just as rewarding. And so I want to help you figure out the mindset and the skill sets that will leverage the waiting time that you're in, leverage that necessary yet unnoticed preparation time that you're in. So that way you're not procrastinating on all this preparation, but you really are developing a lifestyle that is leveraging the everyday, normal in and out stuff. And when you show up ready. Make sense? That's what this is all about. This conversation is called Prepare to Go There. And it's going to help you focus practically on the future. You know, sometimes we get discouraged, we get bummed out, we get, stressed or anxious. And so we like to kind of daydream about something else, or we fantasize the future. But that doesn't help us actually get there, actually make changes, actually see results. And so I want us to practice a more hands-on, realistic approach that no, the future is waiting. It is available. Let's go do something with it. And then as you are getting really clear about where you're going and what's important and how you're going to play the long game, which is what we're going to talk about today, then you can work on the tactics to say, how do I actually lead myself in a way that will help me sustain momentum for the long haul and help me lead others there with intentionality and integrity. And so if this resonates with you, I want you to join the email community. I want you to be a part of the Future Friends, which get all of the coaching content bundled up in a weekly email. The Future Friends also have access through these coaching conversations and other opportunities that are coming up in the fall and in the new year. And then also the Future Friends are getting the info and incentives to great projects and products that you can be a part of, such as a really fun project I'm working on with you, the Future Friends, in mind. And that information comes through the email community. So there's a lot of benefits, and I want you to get the value, not just of kind of checking in and saying, oh, that's cool, look what Peter's doing, but what are you doing? That's the question. How are you staying focused on the future? How are you keeping your big, wild, wonderful future that you've been talking about, dreaming about, praying about? How are you keeping that on the front burner so that way you're actually stewarding your time well, you're redeeming the time, and you're making moves forward? All right, I want to give you a gift just for showing up. It's going to get you into that email community. It's a free fail-proof planning guide. It's a PDF that will simply walk you through a proven step-by-step planning process. It's not a one and done plan. It's not just like, you put in a few factoids about yourself and then it just kind of spits out the perfect day. I mean, that's not how it works. It would be cool, but that's not how it works. Instead, we need to find a planning process that helps us think more agile, less fragile. So when we show up in the new day, the new week, or the new month, we're not looking out at the vast beyond with this sense of, oh, wow, it's so unpredictable. I don't want to commit. I don't want to take action. I don't want to, put myself out there. No, instead, you're going to go out. You're going to look at the future, however daunting or unpredictable it may seem, and you're going to take that next step and you're going to make it unforgettable. And so this is what it's going to do. It's going to help you work on your high-level goal setting, work on some rhythms, so that way you can build momentum and go the distance, make a difference. And then it's going to help you just have some really clear decisions that will make your day effective and intentional. All right, let's jump into the topic of choice today. Our direction is all about the long game, all about how do we go the distance, make a difference. And what I have found is that many, many times we opt out, we bail out, we click out of this amazing opportunity in terms of preparation and the work. And, we start strong, but we don't finish. We don't get it done over time. And that's because we get tired or we get bored or we don't think that our direction is actually taking us somewhere. And so we kind of change directions. We change courses. And I have found so many people quit too soon because they get bored or they're uncertain that where they're going is going to take them where they intended. And instead of quitting too soon and not reaching the results and the achievements and really just the life experiences that are possible, I want to help you get some patience, get some endurance, get some stamina, get some perspective, and hopefully get some fun in your future. And so that's what today is about. How do we enjoy the journey? How do we stay focused on the long game at the same time while we're getting those quick wins to keep us on track? And so let's start with a quote that can kind of set it off for us. I really like it. I think it resonates with us as future friends. And it goes like this: we look to the future to know what to do in the present. Man, that is so good, right? We look to the future to know what to do in the present. In other words, if we don't have a clear focus, then we don't even know what we should be doing with today anyways. I mean, why would it even matter, right? And so that's why we want to get really clear on the long game. We want to know that intentional direction that we're going with. We understand that we're going to have to improvise as we go. We understand that we're going to have to be patient. We're going to have to improve. We understand that there's going to be ups and downs. And we understand that we're going to be doing life with other people that make the journey meaningful along the way. But if we don't have that high level look at the outset, then we're going to get bored really soon. So looking at the future is essential, mission critical, not just for your 5-year goals, your 10-year goals, for your day. Like the next 6 hours, the next 12 hours or 24 hours really are shaped by what you're looking at, what you're focused on, where you're going. And we could literally unpack that idea for a long time. But simply put, there are people who live with a past present mindset, and then people who live with a future present mindset. In other words, are you living today based on what has already happened, or are you living today focused on what can happen and how you're preparing for the future? Not with a sense of dread, not with this, doom and gloom, but having realism, having a practical, wise, firm-footed approach, but knowing that the future can be better, it can be hopeful, and we can lead the way for ourselves and others. So, how do you actually keep your long game fun? That's what I want to know. And I want to pull you into this conversation. If you're watching right now, say hi in the chat. All the future friends, go ahead and tell me where you're watching from and answer this question. How do you keep your long game fun? I'll give you a few examples off the top of my head. The first one is, we've been talking recently about working out. You want to see the results, but it's going to take some time. You have to put in the work. You got to be consistent. Craig Rochelle says, successful people do consistently what average people do occasionally. So we realize that we're going to have to work through the weight. It's not just like you have this really clear intention and then that's all it takes. You have to have that clear intention up front, but then you also have to have that endurance and that commitment to follow through for the long haul. So how do you keep it fun while you're on the road trip, right? You said, I'm going to look like this. I'm going to feel like this. I'm going to work out like this. But then you got to go through the steps. You don't even know if you got all the right directions. You don't even know if you've, properly equipped yourself for the journey ahead, but you just kind of set off and now you're heading off into this journey. You're going through the ups and downs, the unexpecteds, and it's not fun after a while. Michael Hyatt says it gets messy in the middle. So how do you keep the long game fun? And Sarah Joy says, keep leveling up every year. Absolutely. That is one way you can keep your long game fun for sure. I want to give you a very, very simple, even obvious. It's going to be like so obvious. When I say it, you're going to be like, yeah, duh. But the question is, how are you using this obvious tool? How are you using this obvious strategy to keep your long game fun? Because boredom will cause you to quit before you even reach your destination. Boredom will actually disqualify more people just for quitting than losing. In fact, you have a better chance of quitting than losing. If you do not quit, you cannot fail. And I'm not just trying to say that in like a positive thinking sense. I'm telling you that you have the goods, that you have a responsibility to lead yourself in a way that others want to be a part of. So don't fall off because you've taken a few steps forward and a few steps back. Like, have a internal sense of motivation, have the mindset of a self-learner, self-motivator, self-initiator, self-leader. And that doesn't make you selfish. It just says that you are going to do what it takes if people see you in action or they don't see you in action. And from a Christian worldview, this resonates a lot because I'm inspired by the life and leadership of Jesus. And he said, hey, when you're like praying, go away. Don't let people see what you're doing, your progress, some of your best progress, some of your best moments, some of your deepest achievements are actually going to be happening under the radar, underground, when people don't even see it. And it might just be between you and God, but you're making massive impact, influence, progress before people even see it. And by the time they do catch on to all of that preparation you've put in, you're already unstoppable because you have been putting in the foundational essentials for the rest of your life, for the trajectory and the momentum you're on. So we've got to get the long game up front. Don't say, I will figure out what it looks like later. Say, no, I want to be really clear on where I'm going, what's important, what is the focus, and then say, I can figure out the steps to get there. I'll improvise. I'll learn the mindset, the skill sets that help me stay in the game, but I'm not going to procrastinate my purpose. So we've got to keep the long game fun. A lot of people, they are motivated by the quick win. And that's great. We need quick wins. But without a long game, without a long range focus, without thinking of the end in mind first, start with the end in mind and then reverse engineer back. Without having that long game perspective, go up on the mountaintop, get the visionary vista and get that look about what's possible, what's important. When you have that, then you begin to set off on the journey to get there. And so let's keep the long game fun so that way we don't quit before we see results, before we see success, before we see what we saw on the mountaintop. I want to give you a very simple strategy, and here it is. Goals can actually help you gamify your long game. Goals actually help you keep the long game fun because goals will help you create a game that keeps you on the path while you are preparing or while you are processing your identity, your dreams. And goals will become the objective that you can remain focused on while you're still waiting on some bigger items to get worked out. Let me try it this way. Let me try to explain it this way. If you said, I'm going to sit here in the backyard and I'm going to watch this tree grow, it's going to take a while. It's going to take a long time because trees, they do grow and they're growing all the time, but they kind of grow in slow motion and you don't really see it taking a lot of shape in the time frame that you and I live and think. So, you're going to be sitting there and then you're going to do this and then you're going to get hungry and you might fall asleep and then you wake up and you're like, oh my goodness, what is taking so long? This is not good. And you are actually procrastinating and you're losing your patience, you're losing your joy, you're losing your focus, you're losing your spark because you're just sitting here and you're convinced that you have to be watching this whole thing grow right in front of you when really it is a commitment that you make up front to plant the tree, and then you got to walk away from it. And what are you going to do in the meantime? You have to stay proactive. You have to continue to be productive. And as you are working through the wait, and as you are working on your why, then you're going to be periodically coming back intentionally and incrementally coming back. And over time, you'll begin to say, wow, this tree has been growing and I've been productive. This tree's been growing and I've been faithful. This tree's been growing and I've been changing. This tree's been growing, and look, and then there's a point where you look out and you say, wow, this tree is bearing fruit in my future. I'm so glad I did this up front and not later on when I felt that it was the right time. What am I referring to? Am I talking in riddles? Maybe, but really I'm saying that tree represents your future, that you have to be really clear. You have to plant your flag in the future. You got to plant that tree. You got to say, this is important. This is what I value. And I'm going to let this dream, this identity, this path, this purpose that has been God-given, I'm going to plant it, and then I'm going to let it take shape over time. I'm not going to try to force it. I'm not going to try to fake it. I'm just going to let it grow in its own time. And patience is going to be my partner. And while I am waiting on this dream, this vision, this future, I'm not going to be idle. I'm not going to just procrastinate the process that's actually preparing me for the very thing I say I'm waiting on. So have a lifestyle of preparation. And a lot of times we just think that it's going to be handed to us. We think it's just going to happen automatically. And that's not always the case. We have to enjoy the journey while we are also playing the long game. We have to be willing to give our best to the quick wins that are right in front of us. We have to own the opportunities that are right in front of us and trust that even if we don't understand how it's all going to shape out, how it's all going to be connected, we understand that doing our best today and having focus and leading ourselves with intentionality and integrity is going to line up in the end. So goal setting is a big deal. Goals will take a really big timeline and break it down into a series of sprints or a series of short-term games. I say games in the sense that there's something goal-oriented. It's something you can see. It's something you can achieve. It's something you can work on. It's something you can work towards. It's going to keep you moving while other things are growing in the background on your behalf. Now, this is a fun day for me. It's kind of raining and thundering outside. I love that. I'm always down for that. But literally, if I were just sitting and saying, well, nothing's happening and, I don't know what I'm doing and I'm just waiting for somebody to tell me what to do. Friends, you got to get out of that mindset. You have to learn how to step up, how to step out, how to lead yourself, how to take a risk, and to say, I'm going to make today count. I'm going to own the opportunities. I'm going to strategize where I can go next. I'm going to summarize what just happened. So I'm constantly making discoveries, making decisions that keep me moving forward because I'm not going to lose my hope. I'm not going to lose my focus. I'm not going to, just kind of shrivel up because I'm not taking action steps. There's so much encouragement and instruction for all of us. But I mean, even just me personalizing this, I'm thinking, wow, there's a lot I'm dreaming about, but what can I be doing today that would be preparing me for that? So goals are great. Goals help us gamify the long game. So you may be playing one big long game, but you're wondering, man, how do I keep this up? I don't know if I can keep showing up, if I can keep putting in the work, if I can, keep my mojo up, keep my my focus up, keep my skills up, keep my energy level up. Like, how am I going to sustain this long game? And the answer is you're probably not. So don't try to make this huge, big, drastic jump. Instead, you need to say, okay, I'm very clear on the direction I'm going, but I'm going to be improvising, growing, changing as I go. And I'm going to just focus on the next 90 days, or I'm going to be focused on the next 90 minutes. And I'm going to set goals that keep me going, keep me growing. I'm going to be setting goals that I can actually engage with. I'm going to be setting goals that create this sense of urgency, that build a sense of expectancy, so that way I'm actually leveling up. I'm kind of scoring points as I go. These goals are creating this scoreboard effect for me that helps me realize, no, I am making progress. No, I am putting points on the board. No, I am moving closer and closer towards some of the bigger dreams, the bigger projects and goals that I am working towards. So there's two ways I want you to think about the goals. The first one is I want you to intentionally set your goals. Intentionally set your goals. Now, I know that there's a ton of people talking about goals everywhere. There's people talking about goals on the internet, and they've been talking about goals, in books and seminars and classes. And I mean, you can get all kinds of goal setting stuff. That's fine. Go do it. Knock yourself out. I'm asking you, do you have goals? I'm not saying have you set goals before. I'm saying, what are your current goals right now? Do you remember the goals you set a month ago or 90 days ago or at the beginning of 2021? Or did you let those goals drift to the back burner? Do you need to put your goals back on the burner? Do you know your goals? Like, are you engaging those goals? Do you still even like your goals? Can you even explain your goals? I'm not trying to, demean your sense of intellect. I'm saying you have your own goals. The, legendary leader Zig Ziglar would say, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. See, friends, the point is, it's not like some people have goals and some people don't. We are all setting goals. It's just not all happening intentionally. Some people, they don't set any goals, and that just became the goal. They don't have any focus, and so they're focused on nothing. Fail to plan to fail. Ben Franklin. So make sure that you are being intentional about setting the goals. And this is what I want to say about that. It's not just like, oh man, final exam, you got to cram, you got to, do the right answer. So many times we put way, way, way too much pressure on this process. This is fun. This is a fun experience. Goal setting is a game. You are strategizing, you're leveling up, you're skilling up, you're engaging with it, and you're trying to see an outcome. You're playing a game to win. You're going for quick wins that can create momentum for your long game. And setting goals can be fun. And if you are just kind of dumped on with other people's goals, or other people are telling you what to do, whether it's indirectly or directly, whether it's people you know or people you know at a distance, and they're just kind of saying, well, this is what you need to do, and this is how I did it in 30 days or less, and da-da-da-da-da. It's like you need to cut all that clutter out, and you need to focus on what's your goal. Like, be intentional about what you are focused on, what you want to see, where you're going to go next, and you need to make it a game. Make it fun. Make it enjoyable, man. Create this sense of progress, this sense of improvement, this sense of growth, this sense of passion. And when you create a clear goal and you set it, and then you say, okay, now how am I going to make this work? Guys, that's all that's going into a game. Video games or gaming is like pretty much a professional sport now. Literally, people are logging online to watch other people play their game. Now that's cool, but in a metaphor, don't spend your whole life just watching other people play their game. Like, you need to be playing your own game. You need to be in the game yourself. You need to be intentionally setting some goals. You say, well, I don't know where to begin. Start with a few clear roles and then set some goals around those roles. Like for me, I'm a dude, I'm a husband, right? I'm a pastor, Christian, whatever. I'm a homeowner now. Let's go. So, just start there. Start with the obvious. Own the obvious. Don't overthink this. You have to step over the overthinking and say, let's just get after this. I love this quote. I think it was Martin Luther, but don't hold me to it. He said, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. The next best time is today. Intentionally set a goal and make it fun. Make it fun. Now, they have the SMART goal framework. Is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it actionable? Is it realistic? Is it time sensitive? And then some people will add on ER. No, it's not a SMART goal. It's a smarter goal. Be smarter than the smart people who set goals, And then they add on these other things like, is it exciting or engaging to you? And then something else, is it whatever? So apparently I didn't pay attention to that enough yet. But do that. Make sure that your goals are effective. Make sure that your goals are great. But the emphasis here for today is setting the goal yourself puts you in the game. And then when you feel like you're really in the game, you're going to do what it takes to engage with that goal and you're going to play to win. You're not just playing to be safe. You're not just playing not to lose. You're not just playing, to not get knocked out, just to keep running the timer down. You actually want to play to win. And when you set your own goals, I'm kind of talking to myself here too. When you set your own goals, something in you engages with it. And you say, no, this is fun. Because it's not out of your hands now. It's not out of control. It's not something like, oh, I could never do that. Because no, you are taking ownership of that opportunity. And it creates this sense of empowerment that says, I got this. I can do this. Now, setting goals are great. We have to intentionally set goals. But there's one more piece to this conversation. I want you to intentionally celebrate your goals as well. Intentionally celebrate your goals as well. A lot of us, we set the goal, but then we don't take time to celebrate it when we're actually doing good. And then what happens is, because we didn't celebrate it, we don't know that we're doing good. We're not motivated to continue because, we weren't really affirmed or recognized or rewarded. And so you have to celebrate the goals that you set. Celebrate the progress you made. Celebrate the achievement you went for. Are you intentionally celebrating your goals? What that does is it creates this burst of meaning and momentum. And hopefully it leads you into more personal mastery. And then also celebrating your goals helps you to take a little break, to reset, to reflect, to see what was working and what you need to work on. And then you come back with a refreshed sense of motivation. You say, okay, I'm going to reset the goal. I celebrated, I worked hard, I played hard, and now I'm going to do it again. And you create this rhythm of setting the goal and celebrating the goal, setting the goal, celebrating the goal. And you're focused on it, and then you're reflecting on it, and you do it again and again and again, and it becomes a game. Goal setting, goal celebrating is a part of the game. I was reading a book. I'm going to have to remember what it was, but I'm going to go with the one thing. Let me look it up right now just so I can get the reference for you. I just recommended this book to a friend. It's a great read. Text is kind of tiny here. The One Thing by Gary Keller. Gary Keller, One Thing. I'll put the link in the show notes here. Okay. And basically there's a story where there was a hurricane that came through a small town in the South, and it was like a football town, where everybody shows up on Friday night to see the high school play the football game. And during that hurricane in the South, I think it was somewhere in Mississippi, the storm knocked down the scoreboard for the football field. And when the person telling the story was there, they noticed that people weren't engaged. They weren't paying attention to the game. The players were kind of, disheveled. They were kind of all over the place. They were playing the game pretty sloppy. And then even the people in the stands, they were like distracted. They weren't paying attention to what was going on the field. The cheerleaders are getting upset. They're like running off crying. No, I embellished that part. And so it's like, what's going on? You know, here's a team that normally plays great games. They're not doing it. What's going on? And the point of the whole story was when the Storm knocked over the scoreboard, then people lost their motivation to play, to like be engaged in the moment. There was nothing to set their attention, their focus on. There was nothing to celebrate. And so what are you celebrating? How are you going to celebrate it? I think you don't have to make it hard. You can make it really simple, but you have to be intentional. And intentionally celebrating your goals creates the crescendo, the closure that says, that was fun. That was fun. And when you get that sense, man, that was fun, you want to play it again. You want to set another goal. You want to go another round. And you keep doing that again and again and again until eventually you look back and you're like, wow, I've been doing this a long time. See, the people who go the distance, the people who make a difference aren't just using brute willpower, and they're not just like looking out all the way and they're just getting and they're getting cross-eyed and they're just thinking, okay, don't quit. And then, no, you give out that way. Instead, you just enjoy the journey and you work really, really hard at understanding your process, growing in your process, growing your identity, and working on the who just as much as like the steps you're going to take and the projects you're working on. Projects come and go, tasks come and go, stages come and go, seasons come and go, but just keep going, keep growing. And as you set a goal and you focus on it, and then you celebrate it, and then you set another goal and you celebrate it, you're going to begin to look back and say, wow, I really am making a dent in my long game. Now, I've been thinking about this recently, and I want to kind of pull y'all into this. How do you know when your long game is that you need to pivot or you need to improvise or you need to change? And that's all good, and you'll be doing that from time to time. I don't want you to quit too soon. That's why I think building in goals help you to have a intentional review time, so that way you can confidently say, I'm not a quitter. I did finish. I finished the 90 days, or I finished the 90 minutes, or I finished, the year. I fulfilled that commitment, but I don't have to regroup. I don't have to renew that membership fee, so to speak. I can review, reevaluate, renegotiate, and then I'm going to say whether I continue or not. Having that checkpoint is really helpful when you're working on your long game. And what I have found, even in my own planning, is when you're keeping that long view really clear and crisp, it just kind of knocks off some of the frenzy, some of the jitters, and you don't feel like you have to do all of these things all the time, or you don't have to get this long list done in this day to make it successful. It's like, I'm going to be here a while. I'm going to be doing this a while. Lord willing, I want to be effective and faithful. And even if I got like one or two really big projects done, it was worth it. And now I can be more present and I can think more about preparing because I'm actually factoring in a longer time view. So I really hope this is helpful. I know I'm kind of just flowing with y'all today and I'm just kind of putting stuff out there, but I really want you to enjoy the journey you're on. I don't want you to procrastinate your purpose, procrastinate your joy, procrastinate your skills either. I want you to make today count. And I want you to realize that if you do a really good job today, you'll keep doing it for a long time. So what's the rush? Work on your process, work on your identity, work on yourself, do the necessary unnoticed preparation. So when you show up at all of these, high point moments in your life, you're not just showing up, you're showing up ready. All right. I really appreciate this. I want to remind you there is a free fail-proof planning guide waiting on you. You can just click the link and join the email community. You can download it instantly and get to work. And then I want to say thank you to all of the future friends out there. You are an inspiration to me. I'm really looking forward to this coaching course that's going to be coming out to you. I've been working on it for a long time and just letting it take shape. And I am convinced that this is the right time, and that this email community is going to receive it and really enjoy it. So stay awesome. I will be back tomorrow with another round of Prepare to Go There. In the meantime, remember, you are going places. You're going big places in the future. So if you believe it, make today count and prepare to go there. I'll see you tomorrow.